Good evening, and thank you for joining us at today's June 2nd, 2026 Town Board meeting. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. And Councilman Gilbert, as we're coming up on D-Day, and I know your father served in World War II, would you lead us?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If we could have a moment in silence. As I said, we're coming up on the 82nd anniversary of Operation Overlord, the Normandy invasions on D-Day, June 6, 1944, as we remember all of those who paid the ultimate sacrifice for our country. Thank you. Introductions to my right.
Good evening, Diana Quast, Town Clerk.
Good evening, Patrick Murphy, Town Councilman.
Supervisor Ed Lachterman.
Deputy Supervisor Sergio Esposito.
Councilwoman Susan Siegel.
Ilan Gilbert, Councilman.
Adam Rodriguez, Town Attorney.
All right. Just a few things to go over for my report to the town. We had our roundtable discussion at the library on May 28th to discuss the EMS services a little further, and in particular going out for an RFP for basically the best way to handle things and do a study on it, and get some different feedback. We want to open up the scope of the RFP, not limit it. We want them to be able to look at anything and everything to make sure, first and foremost, that we are able to provide the level of service that we'd like to provide for our residents, and make sure that we could continue to do so, but whether it's volunteerism, hiring, hybrid, which we're at now, but changing those percentages, and what the town will need to look at to make it all viable. So today we will be voting later for the RFP, so we can move on that study. And as I said at the meeting that day, but I'll repeat now, I think that it's imperative that we look at every opportunity that's out there, whether we feel they're good or not, but go in when we have the discussion, when the study comes back, with open minds to say, hey, where are we? What do we need to do? Because we have a very, very dedicated group of volunteers that are getting stretched extremely thin on the amount of calls that we're answering each year. And especially with the decrease in volunteerism, not because of spirit, but because of availability. I want to thank all who participated in remembering those that have made the ultimate sacrifice in defense of our country at our different events this past Memorial Day. We had quite a turnout. We were very fortunate. We had 3 different ceremonies plus a parade. We had 0 rain. I hear a lot of communities around us were not as blessed. They had rain throughout, and the Lord smiled down, I guess, for the service of those from Yorktown. But it was very very meaningful and profound for my wife and I. For this year in particular, we went down for our 4th time on the Hudson Valley Honor Flight, and a lot of the veterans there were Vietnam veterans, Vietnam era. Matter of fact, I think about 95% of the veterans on the flight. And, it's something to see them get their recognition that they're due after all these years, to see people walk up to them, welcome them home, thank them for their service. There were people from as far away that I met as England who came with signs and were standing at the World War II memorial welcoming the busloads of veterans that come in. And it was quite impressive and quite touching, but nothing was as strong as going to the Vietnam Wall with there were 5 Yorktown veterans, and going with all of them to that wall and seeing them, pay respect to those they left behind on the battlefield. And actually, John Lancy, my veteran for the trip, had gotten a couple of etchings done of people that he knew that he fought with that did not make it back. You could get their names etched onto a paper. It was very very touching, very meaningful, and I just want to thank those veterans not only for their service but for sharing that day. Was one of the strong points of being a guardian on the honor flight. As we talk about battles and wars and things, we will actually be celebrating this weekend the Rochambeau Festival at the Grange Fairgrounds. General Rochambeau came through Yorktown on his march down to Yorktown, Virginia, for one of the pivotal battles, or the pivotal battle of the Revolutionary War that actually ended the war, and then came back up through Yorktown again and camped here twice. And one of the encampments is at the actual Grange grounds. So we do celebrate that. I thank the Lynn Briggs and the Yorktown Heritage and Preservation Commission for putting this on each year. I highly recommend the trip to it. It's very, very educational. They have people doing reenactments. The French General Consult for the U.S. will be there, I believe, on a Sunday. Saturday night they have a colonial-style dinner. So there are a lot of great things that go on with it. So if you have time, you could go right on our town website, look it up, get some great information, and really, really a fun way to celebrate and get through get through to our kids about the history of the area, and actually get through to some of the adults too, because some of us don't know a lot of the history of Yorktown and what we meant to the Revolutionary War. And then finally, I had gone by to take a look at our half-day camp that we have a new site this year over at Elizabeth Ann Seton Church, and stumbled upon the fact that they are doing their annual tag sale to raise money for the church. They do it this Friday, Saturday, Sunday, with Friday being a day you could pay to go in early, $10 a person, and get first pick of things. And then this Saturday, Sunday, and next Saturday and Sunday from 9:30 to 3 on Saturday and 9:30 to 2 on Sundays, you could go to their church. They have it in the gymnasium, and there's some really great things, some great finds, and they do take donations if you want to donate, which I know Carol will be having me run over a carload or two of things out of my stuff that she wants me to get rid of. But really a great sale, more from the camaraderie and talking to the people and walking around, but also some great finds there. So go check it out. And if you have anything, I think they're taking donations again tomorrow, and then they start next week on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for more donations for the second weekend. So you could go both weekends too and find some good stuff. All right. Thank you. Lonnie?
Yeah, time marches on. It's very strange that I have, when I was probably about 10 years old, I have a recollection during Memorial Day, believe it or not, of there being individuals who were 100 years old who were veterans of the Civil War. It's hard to believe, but it actually was the case. And now we honor those each generation. Now we're honoring World War II, and then Korea, and then Vietnam, the modern age wars that we've been facing now in the War on Terror. But one thing I took note, and we've mentioned it before, Tommy Diana leaves an indelible mark on this town. And when we celebrated, or at least commemorated, the Vietnam Memorial over at the Lakeland High School at that event, the observance. Ed, you noted that it was actually installed by Tommy's graduating class.
Yep.
And then I noticed that the Shrub Oak Memorial, when we were looking at the World War II, at least 5 Dianas on that memorial. Actually, there were 2 Gilberts, but I think there is no direct connection or relation.
What I did notice that one of the Dianas was a woman on there,
Mhm.
which I didn't realize over the years.
Yeah, but
Because they do look at it every year.
it's all, it's so important to keep these observances in our hearts, and after that we took part in a Relay for Life, which occurred, and it was a very good. Not as big a turnout as in years past, but it still accomplished what it needs to accomplish, and it brings this community together. And then the other day, or yesterday, I took part in the golf outing. Actually, I have to thank Diana Quast, who invited me to attend along with her husband Walter. And it was, again, another great event and a great organization, and I just think people really need the support connection. Yeah, what did I say?
You didn't say.
I didn't say. Oh, okay. It was the support connection. It was wonderful. I did say golf, right? Okay, thank you. But that, all that said, again, it's all spelled in the word community, and all those events. So Memorial Day and all the others, and why this is this town. It's so important for us to band together, and there's more that binds us than divides us. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Tommy.
Okay. Just to add to Ed's comments about the Rochambeau Festival, many people don't know that this town used to be called Hanover, and it was renamed Yorktown in honor of the victory in Yorktown, Virginia, because of Rochambeau. It's a little tweak of history that I think we should always remember. I have a few announcements to make. One, tomorrow at the library, there's going to be a meeting on how to save money on your energy bills. It's being co-sponsored by Sustainable Westchester and Yorktown 100. It's at 6:30 at the library. You've got the flyer there. Thank you. Everyone should come and learn what they can do. We're all dealing with energy bills. I also want to give an update on the New York State budget. There's some good news and some not so good news for Yorktown. The good news is that the state increased its funding for the CHIPS program. That's what's helps us with paving money. And Dave is still waiting to see how much additional money Yorktown is going to get. The not so good news is that, it depends on which side of the table you're on, is that they have changed the pension requirements for Tier 6, which is any town employee who was hired after 2012. The impact of this is going to be that the employees will pay less and the town will pay more. And pension costs are a significant portion of our town budget. I have asked the comptroller to kind of ballpark what this is going to cost, as Ed has the thankless job of trying to put together the first budget, and he'll be starting, in the summer, working into the fall. This is going to be an impact that we have no choice. We have to pay whatever the pension people tell us to pay. I want to remind people in the Halleck's Mill Sewer District who are on septic systems, especially aging, failing septic systems, that there is a New York State, a county program that will pay 100% of the upgrade of the system, or if you're lucky enough to be 100 feet from an existing sewer line, they will pay for the connection to that line. You only have an upfront cost, an application fee of roughly $500. A flyer about this and all the contact information is on the town's website. It's at the engineering department. And I'm trying to work with that department to identify those homeowners who are within the 100 feet and have this to me, this lifetime, once in a possibly lifetime chance to hook up to sewers. On this new section of our agenda, old and new business, which comes after resolutions, it's designed to save a lot of time in this opening section. I want to give you a heads up on some of the topics that I will be bringing up, so please continue to watch on your TV after we've gone through everything. I want to talk about what's happening at the court with the HVAC system. I want to give an update, again, for Halleck's Mill people on the Gomez Street, the Halleck's Mill sewer extension. I'd also an update on the pump station plans. I'd like to request an update on what's happening with the staff committee that's revising and looking at updates to the comprehensive plan. We also need an update on what's happening at Underhill Avenue, because my notes said that the improvements were supposed to be finished by Memorial Day, but I don't think they have been. Also, I want to let people know that the watershed inspector general, who works out of the state's attorney general's office, has been closely following the Toll Brothers development down on Catherine Street. And they have some serious concerns about that. And they have asked the town for a waiver to a certain requirement. It's very technical, I won't go into it. The town has granted the waiver from DEC regulations, and they are asking the town to rescind that waiver because they have considerable concerns about the stormwater issue, pollution to the reservoir, and development on steep slopes. Also, I'd like to bring up at that meeting the status of the moratorium law on the cell towers. So I will have more details on all of those later. Thank you.
May I go? All right. Good evening, everyone. So Relay for Life was quite an event. Always very emotional. And I want to congratulate Liz Talbert for being the honoree, and also Raj and Seema Gupta, who own AFC Urgent Care. Just big contributors to our community and community people. I want to just touch on 2 children that passed away tragically last week in Cortland, Alina and Jeremiah Toon. They got caught in a house fire and didn't quite make it out. We attended the memorial the other night. It was quite sad. 15 and 17, I believe, respectively. I don't think the mom is doing well. She's in the hospital. So there are tales of heroism that are just embedded in that whole tragic fire, even by their older brother. So just keep them in your prayers. I didn't know them, but it's just such a tragedy. I did put up something on my Facebook page if anybody wants to donate to the family, which I think are just, I don't even know what to say. Last week, this weekend, there was a Somers tournament for lacrosse. It was quite entertaining. There was our Lakeland Rebels were there competing. It went up to like 8th grade. So it was very, very cool to see all these teams. I mean, there was, I think, like 150 teams there or something like that. On the topic of lacrosse, our varsity, Yorktown High School varsity lacrosse team qualified for the final, the sectional finals. The game will be played tomorrow. I believe it's at 5 o'clock, but don't quote me on that. It will be at Yorktown High School. Going to be a great game, and that's for the sectionals. They did get the semifinals a few days ago. We were at the grand reopening of Walmart in Mohegan Lake. They donated quite a bit of money to various communities. A lot of Peekskill High School students were there. The Peekskill High School dance is very talented.
Amazing.
It's just incredible.
And I think
The
half of them
singers.
also, well, they had street beats there, and I think half of them also were part of street beats.
Yeah,
and the ones
yeah,
that were
yeah. It was
dancing.
really cool. I mean, so they have redesigned the interior to some degree, stepped up their customer service. Walmart and Mohegan Lake, please support them. Memorial Day was fantastic. I even went to a couple of Memorial Day ceremonies in adjoining towns, and I was at you know, it was just great to see the patriotism, and everybody's talking about Rev 250, so it's great. Speaking of Rev 250, there was the event that's happening this weekend. They had to redesign the schedule because of a conflict with another Rev 250 event in I believe Carmel. So check the schedule because it is different. I spoke to Lynn Briggs today. Still great events, still the same events, just reorganized. So check the schedule just in case, you know, so you don't show up and expect something, a particular event. There's gonna be events there anyway, but you know, just if you're looking for a particular thing. There was a really cool chess tournament at Libri, the coffee and books little place we have here. The guy's doing amazing stuff over there, right?
It really is.
It's just and that's,
It was just they had about 10 different players, and one of them was like an 11-year-old kid.
yeah, he was doing good.
He was doing great.
So,
But yeah, it's a beautiful place. It's very nice inside, and they really pushed to really make it interesting in there.
so that's all I have. It was a really great event. Go over there. The place is pretty cool. They got sandwiches now that you could get for lunch. They make great coffee. The environment, the vibe is just absolutely spectacular.
And
Support the locals, right?
yes, and the Nutella cake was outstanding.
But I got to tell you, I think that's the first official chess tournament in Yorktown that I know of. I'm not sure, but great concept, and there was quite a few people there. Anyway, thank you. I want to keep it as brief as possible. Appreciate you
It's too
listening.
late.
All right.
It's too late.
One of the benefits of going last, pretty much everything has been touched on. So,
Hey, talk
but
about Fam Jam.
yeah, we got Fam Jam coming up on June 20th, Saturday. It's in reference to it's a very good family event. You know, they have a bunch of bouncy castles, and it's no longer going to be at the 6th grade school. It's going to be in Commerce Street over here, back to where Commerce Street is. There'll be music and events, food trucks.
In front of Railroad Park.
Yes, yes. So summer's here, and the library is in full swing. And June 9th, next Tuesday, they're going to have Revolutionary War ghost stories starting at 6 o'clock. So they have that. And June 19th, they'll be closed for the national holiday. So
Also, check out their schedule at the library. They have some outdoor concerts on the lawn there
oh, nice.
that are coming up. And I know one of them was River of Dreams, a Billy Joel act that's pretty popular in the area. I have never seen them.
Yeah, that's great. You know, so I'm looking forward to voting on the resolution for the EMS, working for the emergency services, putting that RFP out there with Ed Explained. So, and then Rich DeSilva and the Elks do a Flag Day. It's going to be next Friday at Jefferson Village at 10:30 in the morning. They do a great job. They go through the whole evolution of the flags, you know, for the last, 250 years, So they do a great job, Rich DeSilva and the Elks. So if you're not doing anything, stop over to Jefferson Village at 10:30 next Friday. And that's it.
The flag is actually one of the core standards of the Elks, and that's why they're so involved in Flag Day. They were involved in the creation of Flag Day actually as a group, and it's quite impressive finding out about the different flags, how they evolved. They don't quite hit everyone, but they hit the major ones. Great. All right. We will go into proclamations. Lonnie, you want to do the first one?
Yes, thank you. Before I read it, I want to just say many individuals don't realize the magnitude of World War II. 65 million people, civilians, soldiers, combatants, were killed in that war. I mean, it's a staggering number. And
That is.
the significance of D-Day is that it was the turning point. So let me read this proclamation. Whereas June 6, 2026 marks the 82nd anniversary of the D-Day landings and the Battle of Normandy, as well as the beginning of the end of World War II in Europe. And whereas on D-Day, an estimated 156,000 American, British, and Canadian forces advanced through thickets of barbed wire, scaled heavily protected cliffs. They braved gales of bullets and artillery fire, taking heavy losses as they cut through Nazi defenses, resulting in one of the largest amphibious military assaults in history. And whereas 82 years later, we pay tribute to the service members who secured a beachhead on an unforgiving shore, the patriots who, through their courage and sacrifice, changed the course of an entire century. And whereas today, as we carry on the struggle for liberty and universal human rights, let us draw strength from the moment when free nations beat back the forces of oppression and gave new hope to the world. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of the Town of Yorktown does hereby proclaim that on the 82nd anniversary of D-Day, June 6, 2026, that residents observe this day with programs, ceremonies, and activities that honor those who fought and died, so men and women they have never met might know what it is to be free.
Thank you, Lonnie.
Thanks.
Patrick, Flag Day?
I'll do Flag Day. Okay, so whereas the American flag represents our nation and values of freedom, equality, justice, and hope, and whereas when the American Revolution began in 1775, the colonists did not fight under one united flag, but under their own flags. And whereas on June 14th, 1777, the Second Centennial Congress passed a resolution stating that the flag of the United States shall be 13 stripes, alternating red, white, and that the union of 13 stars, white on blue fields, representing the new constellation. And whereas President Woodrow Wilson marked the 100th anniversary of the resolution establishing the flag as declaring June 14th as Flag Day. And whereas the American flag has inspired Americans on the battlefield and has provided comfort during times of war and peace, and has stood as a symbol of hope for millions of people who have come to America seeking better lives. Now, therefore, be resolved that the Town of Yorktown recognizes June 14th, 2026 as Flag Day and encourages its residents to proudly display this important symbol throughout the year.
Thank you, Patrick. Sergio?
National Women Veterans Recognition Day. Whereas Women Veterans Day recognizes the courageous service and unique experiences of women who have served in the United States Armed Forces. And whereas the Women's Army Corps was the women's branch of the United States Army, created as an auxiliary unit in May of 1942 and converted to full status as the Women's Army Corps in 1943. These women faced opposition by both the leadership of the Army and general public opinion. And whereas approximately 150,000 American women served in World War II, the first women other than nurses to serve in the Army, and whereas these groundbreaking women were highly valued by generals such as General Douglas MacArthur and General Dwight Eisenhower, who said their contributions in efficiency, skill, spirit, and determination are immeasurable. And whereas other branches of the United States military had women's units, including the Navy, WAVES, the Coast Guard, SPARS, the Civilian Women Air Force Service Pilots, WASP, and Women in Air Force, WAF. And whereas the WAC disbanded in 1978, allowing women to serve in the same units alongside men, the women have only been allowed in or near combat situations since 1994, when the United States Secretary of Defense Les Aspin ordered the removal of substantial risk of capture from the list of grounds for excluding women from certain military units. And whereas it wasn't until 2015 that women were able to serve in combat occupations in the Army when 19 Army jobs previously closed to women were opened, including infantry, armor, cavalry, first support, and special forces. And whereas women who served our country throughout the nation's history deserve our respect and gratitude, both for their contributions to our military and for the furtherance of women's rights and equality in the United States. And whereas the town of Yorktown is home to many women veterans, now therefore be it proclaimed that the town board, the Yorktown Town Board, that June 12, 2026, is hereby designated as Women Veterans Recognition Day in the town of Yorktown, and residents are encouraged to celebrate and honor the contributions and sacrifices of all those who served.
Thank you. I'll read Pride Month. Whereas the town of Yorktown recognizes and celebrates the diversity, resilience, and contributions of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and questioning community, and whereas Pride Month is celebrated each year in June to honor the 1969 Stonewall Uprising in New York City, a pivotal event that ignited the modern movement for LGBTQ+ rights and equity in the United States, and whereas the town of Yorktown values a diverse community where all individuals are treated with dignity and respect, regardless of sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression, and whereas this month-long celebration offers an opportunity to reflect on the progress made, acknowledge the challenges that remain, and commit to fostering an environment that is inclusive, safe, and supportive for all members of the LGBTQ+ community, and whereas the town of Yorktown is proud to stand with our LGBTQ+ residents, families, employees, and visitors, recognizing their important contributions to the social, cultural, economic, and civic life of our community, now therefore be resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Yorktown hereby proclaims June 2026 as Pride Month and encourages all residents to embrace and celebrate the rich diversity and unique identities within our community. We have one more, and I will hit that one too if no one has an objection.
Go right ahead.
All right. For Race Amity Day, whereas over the course of the last few years, the Yorktown Town Board has consistently spoken out and stood against all forms of hate, racism, and bigotry within our community, state, and nation. And whereas the Yorktown Town Board believes it is important to build strong community relationships with organizations that strive to promote greater understanding and counter hate, and whereas Race Amity of Northern Westchester and Putnam has a long history of uniting people by condemning acts of racial violence, by building impactful relationships with the goal of advancing inclusiveness, equality, and justice through community-focused communication, collaboration, and healing. And whereas Race Amity Day is meant to be a day to reflect and affirm the dignity brought by the diverse society of America, which includes racial, cultural, and religious backgrounds, and whereas the Yorktown Town Board recognizes that the societal infections of hate and racism have and continue to exist in all communities across our nation, now therefore be it resolved that the Yorktown Town Board acknowledges the continued efforts of Race Amity of Northern Westchester and Putnam within our community, and be it further resolved that the town of Yorktown continues to strive to be a community of acceptance and understanding for all its residents, and be it further resolved that Yorktown Town Board wholeheartedly rejects all forms of hatred, racism, oppression, religion, or ethnic bias, discrimination, incitement of violence, and vandalism. And I will add, there was an incident a few years back, and one of the most impressive things I found about Race Amity was that their entire goal was to work with this person in particular and not judge, but to educate, to teach, and to pass on this message of, inclusiveness, and that judging someone based on their color, their race, their creed is not the way a civilized community responds. So they do some great work. It was nice to see how they handled it, because everyone has preconceived notions of what's going to happen going in, and to see how this person not only, was treated, but how he responded was probably the most impressive part of it, because it was a very, very positive experience for him. I had spoken with him a couple of times about it, and some great work. So thank you. All right, for personnel, I don't need Sergio for his vote, but we'll give him a minute to come back.
There's a line. Start.
There's a line? Okay. All right, so we'll accept the resignation received from Michael Antonucci from the Sewer Department, effective on, at the end of business on June 19th, 2026. Good luck to you, Michael. We will appoint Moses Paban to the position of Probational Assistant Building Inspector in the Building Department. That he is that this appointment is subject to probationary period of not less than 12 nor more than 52 weeks, commencing on the first date of appointment on June 3rd, 2026. We will authorize a change in title for Brian O'Keefe from Heavy Motor Equipment Operator, Job Class Code 0429-02, to Water Maintenance Worker, Grade 1, and that's part of the HELPS program.
What is the HELPS program?
That is a program that they do not have to test on anymore in certain things. They have to have the qualifications, but they don't have to do the county test. It's something that the county did, I think, because they stopped giving the test on some of these programs. Okay, and that will also be subject to a probationary period of no more than 12 weeks, commencing on the first date of appointment, which will be June 15th, 2026. Congratulations to you there, Brian. We will authorize the town controller to process the following budget transfer to pay Eduardo Hernandez the cash value of unused time as of his date of retirement, or of resignation, I'm sorry. And then also be it further resolved, the controller is hereby authorized to transfer funds for the purpose of this payout at resignation as followed and enumerated in the resolution. And we will authorize the town engineer to utilize a 4A wastewater operator at a rate of $90 per hour to provide required operations supervision at the Yorktown Water Pollution Control Plant.
Could you please elaborate?
Yep.
on what's
That'll
happening at
actually,
the plant?
thank you. That will be someone who will be able to step in as on a consultant basis for Mike Antonucci with his resignation as he is our only grade 4 operator, and the plant does require one for specific tasks and supervision. So this gentleman will step in and be able to help out. It is someone who I have not met him yet, but he's been going through some interview process. Comes highly recommended. He used to run the plant in Yonkers, and he's worked in Westchester. I think the resume came in today, so I'll forward that around to the town board.
It's not a full-time position.
It's not a
just-
full-time, it's not benefits, it's a straight consultant rate.
Does the DEC require a certain minimum number of hours that a
No,
late Schedule 4 operator has to be on site?
no, they do require specific tasks to be done though, so it'll be based on that. And it will only be for hours that he's asked to work, of course, and brought in on the schedule.
Is there a civil service list for?
Tracy is going through the list right now, but it's slim pickings. So if we find someone though, then we won't need the consultant.
So this could go on for an indefinite time, we don't know.
It can,
And
but the big thing is making sure that we have a grade 4 available.
and who is next in line if this a wastewater person is not on site? Who is in charge of the plant?
Kyle,
Okay. And he's grade what?
I think he's a 3.
Is he studying for a 4, do you know?
He is, but they're all, it's not just all about,
It's
it's not
test.
about studying, it's about
Yes.
length of service in each position as well. So Tracy would be the expert on that, and I did not ask her to stay today for this. All right, so, well, let's hope we get at least a majority. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
There you go.
I hope Sergio isn't angry that we did that without him.
He's an angry man in general, but no, I'm sure Sergio will be fine. All right, we'll open the floor to public comment. Please note that it's one time only, 3 minutes per speaker. Diana will have a timer going, and you do not have to wait for public comment in a town board meeting. If you have a question or anything you'd like the town board to look at, we're available via phone, email, in the restaurant, the supermarket, today in the diner. Someone stopped me for a couple things. But we are all available through the town website, as well as our department heads for any questions you may have. Okay, when you come up to the mic, please introduce yourself, and the timer will start.
Good evening. I'm Jeff Siegel, Vice Chairman of the Board, Yorktown Volunteer Ambulance Corps. And I am here tonight to say that, speaking for the Corps, that we back the request for proposal for the emergency services study, except there's a few things that are in this that really we don't need. The best practice insurance billing, both ourselves and our counterparts in Mohegan have the same billing company, and they are specialized in this type of billing, and we get the best premium back from them. The merging of the two bodies into one isn't going to happen. We have different needs, and we have different operational issues, and you're going to be covering two towns instead of one. And the question is, if you're going to do that with us, are you going to look into merging the fire departments into one fire department? Same basis, emergency services. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Michael Campbell. I live on Sydney Court, and I'm with Teamsters. How's everyone doing tonight?
Good, Mike.
Good. I'll make this real quick. As you know, the paving bid has just been awarded, I believe, and we see Cat Construction currently, right now, doing some paving work. And based on our investigation, well, really my investigation, the trucking companies that they're using to haul these materials, they're not registered with the Department of Labor. The Department of Labor Registry, which is a prerequisite for submitting certified payrolls under the prevailing wage law. So what we would like for you guys to do is a little bit of investigation to see what's going on with the current paving contractor, because we know the contract, based on new contract, it starts to August, and we see these guys working off the last year's contract and trying to pave as many streets as possible and not follow the prevailing wage law. So if you guys can just look into that for us, that'd be great. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Jean Pollock, Yorktown resident, volunteer member of the Ambulance Corps, and a proud daughter of a World War II veteran. My mother was a WAC. We used to call her Wacky. I was at last week's joint meeting with Mohegan and Cortland. At that meeting, the unanimous agreement to proceed in an expeditious manner with an RFP had the explicit understanding that the scope was to be an exploration of ways to provide funding for the organizations serving the people in 3 districts, 3 towns. Neither Mohegan, as Jeff said, neither Mohegan VAC nor Yorktown VAC would tolerate or even consider a joint merger of our organizations. It's not feasible, it's not realistic, it won't happen, no matter how many people study it. To expand the scope of the RFP to include that option would be a waste of time and money, and would cause an inexcusable delay in moving the study that we do want to proceed. I strongly encourage you not to muddy the waters and cause an unnecessary increase in time and money by inserting extraneous things that the joint attendees of last week's meeting did not agree to. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lisa Muggio, and I'm here to speak on something that occurred at the work session meeting on May 12th. This is about the Veterans Field sign. According to town records, April 20th, 1944, the Lions Club presented plans for a gazebo to be constructed at the YCCC track. On August 1st, 1995, the Yorktown Lions Club presented Yorktown with the Jack DeVito Memorial Gazebo. Individual naming rights are usually reserved for Medal of Honor recipients or those killed in action. So if you insist on singling out a person, you could choose one of the young men from Yorktown who died during either Korean or the Vietnam War. I have some information here because I did some research. Veterans have been objecting to the proposal for renaming Veterans Field that originated with the Lions Club consistently since 1994. They have always fully supported the resolution by which the gazebo was dedicated to the memory of Jack DeVito. May he rest in peace. A tentative agreement had been reached in 2015, but the DeVito Foundation never followed through on erecting a new sign with the agreed-upon punctuation marks. The solution was not to the liking of the veterans, but it was still marginally better than the sign, which hasn't been changed at all. The tentative agreement to mere punctuation is no longer considered. The town board has completely disregarded the advice of the Veterans Advisory Committee, which has been tendering valuable advice to the board since its inception. The town board has refused to convene a public hearing on the matter and has silenced opposing opinions. The DeVito Foundation has rejected out of hand the compromise solution proposed by the Veterans Advisory Committee. Since the town board won't listen or heed the advice or recommendations of the veterans of this town, this matter should now be taken to the voters. Signature gathering for the necessary petition will involve a lot of detailed discussion with many voters and may be conducted at any and all public events in town. Events held at Veterans Field on Veterans Road are very likely to be productive of lots of discussion and will have lots of media coverage. The veterans are willing to take up a collection to help fund the cost of putting up the correct sign should the measure pass. As to some of the comments that were made at that session, Ms. Siegel, you said that we honor our vets comment. It made it sound like the veterans are saying that they aren't honored enough. That is not true. They have never said that. I also believe that they should be honored more. So saying that they're tax exempt and they have this day and that day, I don't think that was appropriate. Mr. Esposito, to state that you don't think this issue should be put to a vote by community members is preposterous. I have actually gone to the town clerk and asked for a referendum to include this issue on the ballot in November. Community members, we live in this town. We should have a say in the process and not be dismissed as unnecessary. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Hi, good evening. Excuse me, Elizabeth Wallinger. I live on Van Cortlandt Circle in Yorktown. I just wanted to make a comment with regard to the emergency services study. I was at the meeting last week in Shrub Oak, and there was no mention made of staffing and the importance of staffing, and I was hoping that that would be included in the study. We use the services of the ambulance corps many times over the last several years. My husband was very ill, so we used it all the time. And people, the ambulance corps and the police department was so professional and so caring every time they came out. And I wanted to just have that on the record. That was very meaningful to us. But the staffing is terribly important, and it's something that I just feel needs to be looked into. How can we strategically work to enlarge the corps of volunteers in the ambulance corps? And I was wondering also if there are any incentives in place right now to encourage people to join the ambulance corps.
Okay. We answer at the end.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Sarah Wilson, resident of Yorktown Heights. Thank you, Susan, for mentioning the event tomorrow evening at 6:30 at the Hart Library. It's jointly put on by Sustainable Westchester and Yorktown 100, all about energy efficiency and how we can save money on our electric bills, which everybody's interested in these days. Thank you for the proclamation about Race Amity Day and the great work that Race Amity of Northern Westchester and Putnam does. Their Race Amity Day is always held on the second Sunday in June, And so this year it will be on Sunday, June 14th at Reese Park, starting with a potluck luncheon at 1 o'clock, with the event kicking off at 2 o'clock with music and speakers and various activities. So just want to let folks know about the Race Amity Day event on June 14th. And then lastly, with respect to the Flag Day proclamation, and encouraging our residents to proudly display the flag year-round, we just want to remind people that proudly displaying it is doing it respectfully and making sure that, you know, if it's out at night, that it's illuminated, etc., because we certainly see lots of flags around town, but not all of them are necessarily displayed the way they should. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Sarah, so you don't have to yell out from the crowd and get yelled at by Tom, what time does Race Amnesty Day end? You said it starts at 1?
Right. 1 is the potluck luncheon, 2 o'clock is the event. I don't know the exact time, but I would think by 3:30-ish, things would be wrapping up.
See if I could get there.
Okay.
This year.
Thank you.
Hey, good evening. My name is Michael Hickens, Yorktown resident. How are you all?
How you doing?
I just wanted to talk a little bit about Pride Month. Most of us who aren't gay celebrate this or recognize this in an almost performative way, and we realize that we're lucky that we live in a society that's largely much more tolerant than others around the world, even today. But it wasn't that long ago that things were very different here. My older brother, Walter, was gay, and he was sent to reform school for that. And he served in the Army, had to be quiet about it. He never came out to his family. At the end of his life, he still had internalized all of that societal opprobrium under which he had lived. And he told me on his deathbed, I'm just a dirty little, and he used the epithet that we all know. So even today, we hear kids say, last one in is gay, or that's so gay. And that's difficult for kids to hear if they have a family member who's gay, or maybe if they themselves think maybe they're gay. So I think it's important for us to teach our children about this, and I want to reiterate my thanks for your proclaiming Pride Month. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Anthony Pichette. Just a few questions and comments maybe you can respond to. First of all, I've asked this before, or I've talked about this before, but is it illegal for cars, trucks, town vehicles to be on sidewalks? If it's not, could it be at some point in the future? Because we already talked about repairing sidewalks. Well, this is how they get damaged. Heavy machinery constantly on them. Are cars allowed on Veteran DeVito Field Place, that area, at any point? We had the oh my gosh, what was just, thank you, Relay for Life, which I was there, I forgot, I'm sorry. And there were cars going in and out while people were walking by. Now they were, they were slow and moving, but I had to have my little one say, wait a minute, there's a car right there. And the car, there's things going on. So is there a way to not, to prevent cars from going on that road unless an absolutely necessary to do? The comprehensive plan discussions, is there ever an option to have that public, or can the public attend any of those meetings? Is that an option in the future? What is the process? So as far as the fire lanes, especially around Uncle Giuseppe's area, I know that was talked about in a news article, but I mean, anyone that goes there, they see they're constantly parked all the time. And I mean, people park on the side of the road, once again, on the sidewalks, wherever they want. So wonder what the process on that is. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for courtesy of the floor? Motion to close? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Well, I'm going to run through these pretty quick for both Jeff and Jean. I know I did speak about this at the end of the meeting about not that I agree with everything, but that we should put things out in an open mind on things. Now, when you talk about a merger, it doesn't mean the two merge together. The example of Rye Brook, Portchester, and they actually almost had Harrison in that, but Harrison backed out. They have a non-for-profit that goes into a contract with the town, and both of the different, or all three of the houses work. Basically, they do their own thing, but under that umbrella, and that's how they're able to have a funding mechanism. As I talk more and more on some of these things, we're learning more, but that's why it's so important, as I stated at the meeting, that we go in with an open mind and not saying, hey, don't even bother because it's not going to work. You know what? I tend to agree. I deal with a lot of first responders. I know there's a lot of pride. I think I said that actually at that meeting as well. And yes, a lot of things that we put into that may not work, but it doesn't mean they should not go down the road. And it's the same thing with the insurance billing, because it wasn't that long ago. Actually, it's this past round of meetings that even though we use the same billing companies, we use different ways of billing. And I know Dr. Becker had questioned some of them to me on the side. So, without opening a can of worms, are we doing the right thing on one or the other? And, where does that go? So I think it's important that we get all of the information out there right. And will it take a little longer? I don't know if it's going to add any length of time, to go down some of these roads, because a lot of it has been done. And today I had received something about the town of Islip and what they did. So I haven't had a chance to go through everything, but it was a gentleman, Tyler, that was at our meeting who lived in Islip, and he did some research and sent it over to me. So there are a lot of different things out there, and this cat has been skinned in other municipalities, and we will try to learn from their mistakes and learn from their successes. But I do think that we have to look at it and go down that road. I'm like a blank slate on this. I just want something that works for our staffing levels, for our people, and I'll jump over to Elizabeth on that, which is, right now we have a hybrid of staffing where it's volunteers and paid, and then they have to fill people in. They pay for them. The town does offer tax incentives for our volunteers, so there are things out there for them, and I believe, Jeff, are you guys also pensionable for calls in the ambulance corps? Is the ambulance corps also pensionable for that? Yeah, so they get pensionable out of the state for their calls and their responses. So there are definitely incentives out there for anyone who's thinking about that. But I think one of the biggest incentives is helping your neighbors, which is great. But I am very happy to hear that they were there for you. They will continue to be there for you. We're looking down the road for those days where it might get tight, and how do we accomplish that?
Prevent that.
Yeah. I can't. Oh, it's not a state. I'm sorry. With the Corps? I'm sorry. Thank you for the correction. It's an internal pension through the Corps. All right. So with that, and we did speak about some of this stuff at the end of the last meeting, and maybe it just caught everyone by surprise because I didn't really get much pushback. I know Seth had made a comment, and that's when I spoke about, look, I don't agree with everything on this paper, but that doesn't mean it shouldn't be looked at. So I'll continue on that track. Mike, with the paving bid, I actually already spoke to. Is he still here? No. I did speak to our comptroller because I know there have been some new laws, and some of it with the certified payroll. So she's looking into making sure they qualify. But if not, they get bounced back anyway. They have to qualify and fit, and adhere to the labor laws. Sarah, thank you about the energy bills and the update on Race Amity Day. Michael, I also, my oldest brother was gay. He was a leader in gay rights out in Stony Brook in the 70s, and it was quite a battle. And you're right, we don't think, and as a society, and actually in some instances we've, like when you look at some of the anti-Semitism that's out there, it's gotten even worse, not better. So it's definitely something that is great to bring forward. It's actually why I choose to read the Pride Month proclamation each year in my brother Michael's honor, and I will continue to do so. And we should, continue to understand and embrace the fact that, I might like things spicy, you might like things not spicy, and nothing wrong with that. So, Anthony, vehicles on sidewalks, I'm not sure in which reference. Sometimes they have to go in there to do work, especially around Railroad Park. I know you'll see vehicles in there all the time on the sidewalks and on the pathway. But I'm not sure exactly what you mean. So offline, if you want to give me some examples of what you're seeing. There are cars on the field. Matter of fact, we do a EV vehicle show there every year during the Lions concerts. So they are allowed there. And then when they're doing events, there's drop off and then pack out. So you could drop off your stuff, move out, then come back in to pack out. Especially like when you have some of the companies that come in with the bouncy houses and the movie night stuff. There's a lot of equipment that gets moved in and out, and so the field and the track are sort of made to support that. But during an event running, there shouldn't be anyone driving around, of course. Excuse me, and that I will say includes bicycles, especially the motorized bikes. Sergio and I were at a movie night back then and last summer, and there were kids riding across the field at 20, 30 miles an hour on these motorized bikes while there were people sitting there trying to get ready for the movie. And Sergio walked over, and I remember, him saying, "I got this," and he went over, and the parent was there. He's like, "Oh, don't worry, it's my kid. I got it under control." And it's like, no, you can't ride here. So
the problem was that there were little kids that were there for one of the movies, and they were running around in the field. So the parent complied. He was like, "Yeah, no problem," So it was not a big deal. It took a little doing, but we nobody got hurt that day. So that's all that matters.
Right. And that
talk about Lisa.
Let me just address a couple of things. Lisa, I was asked to recuse myself by the veterans, but I will say a couple of things that I know I can answer. Medal of Honor recipients and killed in action for naming, I understand. Back in the beginning of all this, it wasn't being named for Jack DeVito's veteran status. It was being named for his community status and what he was doing in the community, especially on the fields and with the kids working as a coach. But I have asked the veterans through the Veterans Advisory Committee, which we do listen as there was the comments and then the changing of the name of the Veteran Memorials Circle recently. There is a lot of input and there's a lot there. So they're definitely not ignored. They're listened to. Their input is valuable, and I won't look at it as a broad view like some of the comments that were made that night that people are looking at as a much broader view, which is sort of unfair to everyone on both sides. There is definitely attention paid. There's definitely the conversations, and I have asked the Veterans Advisory Committee that they might want to come in and re-engage the board, but you hit and with the DeVito Foundation, right? But you hit on a valuable thing, and it wasn't the DeVito Foundation that slipped in it. I'll say it was the town. In 2015, when there was a deal, it was not for the DeVito Foundation to redo the sign. That was for the town board at that time. Apparently that didn't happen. I wasn't on the board. Actually, I don't think any of us. Susan, 2015.
Yeah, I'm on board.
Susan was the only one on the board in 2015, but
I wasn't the supervisor, though.
no, not the supervisor. So, but none of us really have the working knowledge per se. But I can tell you, if we're changing the name of a park, it is the town's responsibility to change the signage. So even if something went through where it's done for the veterans, that would be us to do the sign, unless someone donates it because they want something special. But that's, neither here nor there. But I do think it's important that what you pointed out, that there was a compromise. And from what I understand, I wasn't at the meeting with the DeVitos and the Veterans Advisory, but Carl had reported to me that they did have a deal based on that same 2015. And then the next time they came around, it was like, oh, no, it's off the table. So there's a little bit of pushback from the veterans. It's not just the DeVito Foundation, but it's important to them as well. Keeping that name alive. So I personally hope that a clear, cool head discussion can go on about it. And if there needs to be, some compromise, there should still be some compromise. They've admitted that there was compromise. I'll tell them, you, and everyone on TV right now, we screwed it up. And even though we weren't here, we live with the mistakes of our fathers here. So we're more than happy to re-engage. It's more than happy to that, but there has, as I said about the EMS, people have to come in with a clear mind and not saying, well, this is the solution that I want to compromise to. Not, that's not going to work. So if people want to come in and have that, or they could go the other way and just say, no, I don't want to talk about it. I'm going to push forward on this. That's totally up to them, but I definitely think there's a way to address it, whether it's that old compromise or something different. And, I'd love to see that happen, and I'd love for them to allow me to be part of that conversation, because I look at it from a bunch of different things. I look at it as someone who's on the town board. I'm in the Sons of the American Legion, and I'm in the Lions that Jack DeVito was in. I'm not in the Jack DeVito Foundation, so I don't have their viewpoint on it, and I am not an actual veteran, so I do not have their viewpoint on it. But there's 60% of the view that I have, and I'm more than happy to sit there without preconceived notions of what should and shouldn't happen. And I think that everyone on the board here has worked with and will continue to work with our veterans, and it's just a matter of knocking on that door with the right frame of mind to have a conversation. Okay, I think I covered everything I need to. Anyone else?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, in terms of this EMS study, I agree with you I thought that the discussion that we needed an open and full analysis, regardless of there may be some issues we'll be able to ultimately just eliminate, but we need to analyze everything and be as thorough as we can. And getting back to the billing issue, I understand, and that's why I think it should be included in the study. Is while we may be using the same company and they have a good record in terms of attacking billing, I think we all know that insurance companies tend to deny claims because they know people aren't going to appeal them. And I don't know what our appellate process is in this with this company, and I think that's could be a major source of potential revenue if we make sure that we have a solid appeals process to denied claims. Let's just study it.
I used to install medical billing software
Mhm,
years ago,
mhm.
and I would walk into a place, a doctor's office, and I would do my presentation, and the software that we had would they would deny a claim because you didn't dot an I. And then what you would do is in the medical billing software, you would just dot the I and send it right back to them. And this game went back and forth and back and forth. And it is a medical billing game.
Right.
You're absolutely right about that. And,
So
that might need some efficiency.
we just
Right.
want to make sure we're doing it right.
Now, I know that they mentioned that they had a medical billing company that does that for them. They did mention that last week when I brought it
Right.
up.
No, I understand
You're
they do,
absolutely
but,
on point.
and lastly, regarding the veteran issue, I just want to state that my nay vote, I hope, speaks volumes on how I feel about the issue. That's all.
All right,
Susan?
my turn. I'll focus on the EMS issue since I've been taking the lead role on this. And I thank one volunteer is still here and somebody else who has used the service, and I have used both Mohegan and Yorktown. I started looking into this about 6 months ago and met with the VACs and learned about their issues and the funding problem. And then based on that, initially I thought that there would be a state local efficiency planning grant that we could use to fund this. Turned out that it wasn't, we wouldn't have been eligible for the type of study that we had to do, which was funding. So then I worked with the VACs and also spoke to the people in Ossining, the village of Ossining, town of Ossining, and the western portion of the town of Newcastle have a joint arrangement out of one VAC. And I also spoke to Chris Bradbury, who's the administrator in village of Rybrook, Rice City, and Portchester. Also have a joint operation with one VAC. And I learned from both of them. I spoke to the county EMS person. I spoke to somebody up in the Adirondacks about their experience with ambulance services. So I've done a lot of research. The end result is that in working with the VACs, because we're doing this for the VACs. This is not town initiated. It's basically coming out of the VACs. There is no other option. The issue is finding supplemental funding. And there's no other way other than what is the purpose of this study, which is to find funding sources. It's clear, as the Yorktown VAC has said publicly, and Mohegan VAC, or Mohegan EMS as it's called, has told me, and I think they've told some of the town board members, there is absolutely no interest in merging. Why study something that's not going to happen? Both Ossining and the Portchester Rye model is a single VAC, all right? Again, it makes no sense to study something. Supervisor Lachman said in the beginning, we'll study anything and everything. Well, we've ruled out things at the first March 30th roundtable. There was a discussion about one of the other options to an ambulance district. It was putting something in a budget line. Rye Portchester does it with a budget line. Ossining does it through ambulance districts. We heard from two VACs, okay, the problems with the budget line item. So we ruled that out. Why do we have to study it? We already know that, all right? And if the board feels that I haven't shared enough of my learning with them, then okay, I will take the blame for them, but the blame for that, for not passing along all this information. But it's made clear in working with the VACs what needs to be studied. If the problem is how to find additional funding for the VACs, that's what this study was supposed to be. And adding extraneous things doesn't help. All it does is increase the cost of the study.
Susan, if I may.
And one other thing I want to say, and the issue of the medical insurance building, which is critical because that's the prime source of funding for both VACs. And we spent a long time discussing this at the May meeting. The people who deal with the insurance reimbursement are highly specialized vendors. The people who do with the consultants who do with organizing VACs and how they operate, and in general how they're funded, it's a totally different expertise. So to put the medical billing issue in with a study on how to provide funding just doesn't make sense. It's apples and oranges. And this is something that needs to be pursued. And if the board has any questions that the VACs aren't doing the proper job or that the vendor who handles their billing isn't isn't doing a good job or something could be done better, then if we're going to help fund them, then we have a say and we can say, hey, just change your vendor, or your vendor isn't doing the best job. But to put it into a study whose purpose is how to provide funding for the vax, it doesn't belong in that, okay? Because we're looking to supplement the insurance funding. We're not looking to how the reimbursements are being made. So for those reasons, I have issues with this, and I think all the professionals from the VAX, from the county EMS, from a former supervisor in the village of Ossining who was very much involved in the creation of the Ossining district, they say the way to go is to have a study that will look at the funding. Cortland signed on to this joint study back in January. It has been 5 months since I have been waiting and the VAX have been waiting for our Yorktown Town Board to act on this, and it's been one obstacle after the other, and this latest obstacle is putting in the insurance billing and putting in the merger, and I don't even know what the merger means.
So, Susan, if I may, Susan, to me, it is not about finding funding or we could just slap a tax out there. It's about financial viability, not just today, not just tomorrow, through the future. If you think that you have all the answers, then write up the study and we'll pay you. Because you know what? We are within our own box here. No offense to our people in our VAX, they are within their own box. And Ossining and the county and Rye Brook Portchester, they're in with their own box. But speaking to each of them, there are differences in how things are running. So to say, no, this is just the way to do it, I think why bother doing the study? And I know Alon has spoken out about the fact that he thinks it should go. Sergio has. Patrick has. I'm sorry you disagree, but there's a way to be thorough. And
I'm prepared to vote on the resolution, just so you know.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to vote.
So
I intend to vote as well.
right. So if you don't want the other stuff and you want to vote no, that's fine. But I think it's important, and I think that we need to. You know what? We'll leave it to the board. And we'll,
who's going to rewrite if you don't like the draft that I've written, which was a draft, which I asked for comment, and you were the only one who commented on it, and you made 2 suggestions, I'd like to see what the new RFP is going to look like.
Okay. Well, I've been doing a little more research and work. I have some other things that I'd like to put in there. I will share them with you later. A lot of it's coming with my conversations with Chris Bradbury, who has been dealing with this for 38 years.
Absolutely, he gave me a lot of information. Right. He's an expert in this field.
But when he and I went through what we have right now, he said, one of the things he said is you're not looking at the subjective, like what is the service level you want to give? Where do you want to be? And what is it going to take? And that's going to involve the VAX getting involved. But if your response time is, I think the standard in the county is 9 minutes, but you want better or you want the standard, and those are going to cost different things and different levels. And he said that's, he opened my eyes to the fact, which is once again why we look outside. He opened my eyes to the fact that these are some important questions that we don't even have in the RFP yet.
But correct me if I'm wrong, right? We don't have currently a service problem. What we're at this stage of the game right now, right here and now, and we don't foresee a service problem tomorrow or next week. What we're trying to do is we're trying to prevent a potential service problem, which hasn't happened yet, sometime in the future. So if we take an extra week or take an extra month now, what is the difference to get a more thorough job? All you've done was trade barbs with us. We didn't respond to you. We delayed. It's been one obstacle after another. Perhaps we're doing a thorough job. I know you want to get to the end. You think that what you did and what you wrote is exactly what we should be doing. That's great. I'm glad you have your conviction. I commend you for that. But we don't have a service problem right now. There's absolutely no reason to do this yesterday. We can take our time and get this done. And if we want to add and do a more comprehensive, you keep talking about comprehensive plans. This is a comprehensive view of what's going on. Maybe some of the things are wrong. Maybe some of the things come back and say, that's crazy. We already heard from the VAX. They're not even considering that. But that doesn't mean we don't study it. That doesn't mean we can't take a look at it. So,
If we-
and again, I would agree with you. If the problem was right now, it was immediate, and we needed to act today. And we've already established that that is absolutely not the case. So what's the problem? We're talking for 40 minutes, 20, 30 minutes about adding something into the study when we could be voting on getting the study out there.
Alon.
If we find out in the study, I mean, I can't conceive that that you want to parse this out, because if you find out in the study that 50% of the billing gets rejected, and we find out through the study that through an appeals process, it's very possible 75% will be able to get 75% funding out of the billing rather than 50%. That's a significant difference in terms of what we're going to need to do to fund from the town's perspective. So it's all, to say that it's not relevant is mind-boggling to me, to tell you the truth.
I didn't say it was mind-boggling. I said
I said it's mind-boggling.
You said it was not relevant.
Insurance billing, which is the prime source of their revenue, is the most critical thing. What I'm saying is analyzing whether they're doing a good job or they should do it differently requires one type of specialist, one type of consultant, as opposed to somebody who's going to talk about the response time. What response time would we need? How should a VAC be organized, okay, and structured? How should they share services? That's apples and oranges in terms of which consultant you're looking for. The other advantage in following the OSNI model, which uses the ambulance district, where the towns, both Yorktown and Cortland, would provide funding. Because we provide funding, we would have a direct say in how those VACs operate. Right now, we have no say. They're totally independent. They get virtually no money. There's a minor exception, for VAC, for Yorktown VAC. Because of the paramedics car. But once we're in an ambulance district, we have governance and we have oversight. Their budgets, their finances will be open to us. We can look at their insurance reimbursements and what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong. Okay, and we would have more control. They would still be independent. We're not talking about a town takeover. And to your point, from day one, you are misrepresenting my position. From day one, I have said we are fine today, but we have to study and plan for tomorrow. I don't know when that tomorrow will be.
Do you recall the comment you turned around to me and you said it underneath your breath that you hope I don't get sick tomorrow? Do you remember that comment?
No.
No,
because I don't make it sick. Because
you did say
no,
that. Excuse me.
No.
The person
You're
that's misrepresenting is you.
No, you're misrepresenting.
You want to skip to the end because this is what you want. And you don't care because that's what you want to just get to the end.
Sergio and Susan. Thank you.
I would like to say
the
something.
earliest
And
you're
you can't.
looking at
Susan, please, just read your last article that your ambulances aren't going to be there, that you put in the paper.
I said for tomorrow.
No,
Who
no.
knows what tomorrow is?
Patrick
Tomorrow I
has
don't
so-
mean literally.
Patrick has something to say, and we're moving on.
I agree with Lanny. All the stuff should be on the table. They turn around, and if they find out merging, which apparently is probably not going to happen, they're going to make that decision in about 30 seconds and go, we're not going to investigate merging. But if you don't have it on the table, they won't just take a quick look at it. They're not going to go and spend 3 weeks on how to merge it when they know it's not going to work.
Well, wait, you're saying you don't want...
Susan, my point is, it's a study.
Oh,
You
but
put
the
it all
study
on
is
the
going to
table.
spend... The study is going to spend
Ladies
time.
and gentlemen, we're going to move on.
At the time you're
We're all
voting...
gonna vote
At
for
the
it.
time you're voting at the resolution, which will come later on the agenda, then this board... Okay, some of you will be voting to advertise an RFP, but you haven't seen the wording of an RFP, and you don't even know what the RFP will include.
Would you like to delay the vote?
Well,
I'm listening.
All right.
No, months and months
Okay,
and months
thank
ago,
you.
I delayed. I said
Susan,
we were having a vote
please.
on the
Yep.
streetscape for an RFP, and I think
All right.
for everything we should not vote for to advertise an RFP on any subject until we see what is in the RFP.
Once again, I will make sure that it's distributed before it's put out. discussions today. Well, we have a proposed amendment to Chapter 303 and 386, the Code of Town of Yorktown.
We all done with comments, I guess?
Regarding, yeah,
Yes.
are you okay with that?
Sure.
You have anything else?
No.
Oh, I think on Tony's comment about the fire lanes, I think that's an issue of code enforcement.
Oh,
We have a
thank
code
you.
enforcement officer.
Actually, we,
And he
no.
should be out
ac-
there, and we-
Actually, let me answer that because I have the facts. Thank you, Tony. Forgot about that. We did hire some part-time enforcers. One of them, I think, has already written over 30 fire lane violation tickets. So those of you listening, those of you out here now, be on notice. It's no joke, and we're going to probably look at the fire lane fines because I do not think we match our local communities. I think we're lagging behind. So fire lane, handicap parking, it is not going to be tolerated, and we're still looking for more part-timers. But they are heavy on that. Thank you for bringing that up, Susan, but I want to make sure you understand we do have
Glad to hear that.
more people out there. Sergio?
I'm good, thank you.
Sorry, okay. So we already had the discussion at the last meeting when Robin was here. This is to allow to allow recreational uses at the mall. So we have a big kids amusement, and we also have a golf simulator looking to come in. So if we are good with that, I'd just like to make a motion, or have a motion made to refer that out.
I'll make that motion.
Lonnie's nodding second.
Second.
Okay, I don't think Diana records nods. All in favor?
Aye.
Let me
Any-
just
any
add,
opposed?
since I think there's going to be general support for this amendment, which was a very minor amendment to the code, I would suggest that you can set the hearing date now, have a very short referral date, on this, because basically probably only the planning board is going to refer it out, is going to look at it. They can look.
Chapter 300, that's not true. It has to go out to many agencies, including Westchester
Thank
County.
you.
So it will be a typical referral time.
Yeah.
30 days.
Can you still set the hearing date now? So, because if I remember the owner who wanted this change, because he has some issues
I'll have
with
to
the
go over
lease.
with the town supervisor tomorrow. We have several things on the agenda to do.
I'm just trying to accommodate.
Yes, thank you. We will,
accommodate
we already are
the
set to
user.
look it over. Thank you. All right, and then discussion on guidelines for the Commercial Incentive Board. I know Susan had given some suggestions. I made sure other board members had them. Lonnie, you have a copy?
Yes, I do.
All right. So, Sergio, I know you had some comments.
I just want to make sure that I know there was a lot of discussion on it just being fact-based, and we have to analyze the data, and that's absolutely accurate. But there's also a subjective component when you're looking at the 485B. And I want to make sure that the new board looks at the subjective component. I know people complain that there's a lot of traffic, and I get it. I understand the complaint. But in the same respect, you hear that, so the 485B, which is causing the traffic, hasn't caused any new revenue or any new excitement in the town. And that doesn't make sense to me. So I think there is a subjective component to everything, including what we were discussing
What's
about.
subjective?
So,
Can you be specific? What types? What do you mean by subjective?
so I would like to see exactly how much revenue has come in. I don't think that's going to be easily calculated with sales tax and stuff like that. I think that's a subjective component that we need to look at. I think we also need to look at the subjective component, how people are coming in to frequent the new establishments that we have here, like in Uncle Giuseppe's. It's very hard to calculate and analyze data unless you're looking at traffic stuff, which they're not going to have access to. So there is a subjective component. Another subjective component is when they come in to go to Uncle Giuseppe's, do they eat here? Do they frequent our eateries? Are they doing better? Are they more successful? These are things that also have to be looked at other than just analyzing the data, which is important, which I concede. You have to do that, of course.
I'm not sure I would call that subjective. I think that's, it all is, again, gets back to what can we see in terms of, actual increases, and I don't know whether that's subjective. I think subjective is we're the hottest town in northern Westchester. That's subjective. I don't know whether or not that's really part of the analysis. I think it is more data driven.
I think Sergio's point, though, it's hard to quantify. Like having Uncle Giuseppe's. What does that do for the sales at TJ Maxx, at Five Below? How many people come there, see the pickleball court, and join up?
I could see that being somewhat subjective, but it's not real. But it's still based upon
It's not easily quantifiable.
Right.
We could call it whatever we want. I just want that as part. We can name it whatever you want, whatever makes you guys happy. But I think that should be part of what they do, and that's not anywhere in here. So that's all I'm saying. I think we have to look at it holistically. We have to take, whether you agree with it or like it, or it doesn't matter to me. Well, what has to happen is, what matters most is that we look at the big picture and we look at everything inside it. And that was part of the reasoning behind the study for the ambulance study. It's the same idea, same concept. Here we are again.
Just to clarify, sales tax, if I buy a car in Yorktown or if I buy a car in Yonkers, it makes no difference in terms of Yorktown sales tax. The sales tax goes to the county, and the county distributes sales tax revenue based on a population formula, both to the town and to the school district. So it makes no difference. So just because we have a business in Yorktown doesn't mean we get the sales tax.
I never said that.
No.
I don't think I said that.
No,
But
you
Susan,
didn't say that.
I think what he's trying to say.
There's a lot of misconception about that.
But I think,
The
hold on.
second thing is, are you saying that if somebody comes from Ossining, from Somers, and shops at Uncle Giuseppe's, by giving, I'll just use Uncle Giuseppe's as an example, but I don't necessarily mean that. But if we give that Uncle Giuseppe's a 485B incentive, that's going to bring traffic to Five Below and the other stores?
That's the very difficult to quantify portion, the subjective portion. I think that does the fact that you have an Uncle Giuseppe's here is drawing people into the town. And the people are not, they may not just come here into the town. They might decide to go across the street to the Don Pablo's and have dinner with their family or lunch with their family while they're in town, where they wouldn't ordinarily be in here in the town. So,
well, that assumes that Uncle Giuseppe's wouldn't build if we didn't give him the incentive.
Well, that's what you want to argue this because you want to look at raw data, and that's all you want to look at because you know that's not going to take into account the rest of the stuff that these things do for our town.
Yeah, but
the revenue that it brings in, the people that it brings in, everything that everybody, it's like a pyramid. Everybody, benefits from it. If you bring people in for one thing, they may stay and do something else.
Sergio,
you don't want to look at that because you're afraid that might, your preconceived notion that the 485B is terrible. So what I'm saying is, let's look at the whole thing. And whatever the end result is. And the questions you're asking are not questions for you. They're for the 485B board. And that's what we're trying to do.
Right.
We are trying to get the
recognize
guidelines.
Patrick.
Yeah, just real quick, use Uncle G's as an example. Let's pretend the pickleball court was running at 25%. Now, all of a sudden, Uncle G's comes in, and now the pickleball goes up to 100% usage. They got to hire more local jobs. And, that's what I think he's trying to talk about, soft
the
use.
basic
The
point.
fact that we're
No,
looking
so,
at all of this and we're talking about this is
Why
exactly what I want the 45B board to do.
Why are we talking over people?
I'm sorry.
Add it on. I just think it's something that you've acknowledged that you can't quantify, so you're just going to make a generalized statement.
No, actually, I said it's hard to quantify.
It's hard to quantify.
So you're saying we should ignore it?
No, put it in.
This is what the board does.
Put it in.
Yeah.
I remember. I think it was Mr. Brown when I was the supervisor when we were talking about the wonderful aspects of the farming community that we have.
Yes.
And he used to say, for every dollar that the farms would generate, you could count on additional $4 for the town because of people being here, getting gas at our gas station, whatever. And you're right, it may not be directly receivable in terms of what the town receives.
Actually, totally wrong. It's a totally false statement, and I'll give you the perfect example. My goddaughter and her family are down here from Wappingers at Uncle Giuseppe's at least once a week. And they do spend money within the community here when they're here. My goddaughter.
What am I
no,
saying?
No. But it does affect the dollars because they could spend that money in Putnam.
No, I understand
and
that.
we never get that tax revenue.
Right.
So they're spending money in our stores, and we're attracting. We're on the border of Putnam.
I'm just confirming what Susan is saying in terms of the county distributes all the sales
Right.
tax.
But now
you're
they have
right.
a bigger
but
pot to distribute
but
because
that's
people
right.
are coming here.
That's correct.
But the point of the 485B incentive is to say, if we have the incentive, that means that the Uncle Giuseppe's, the business X, is going to
That's what
come
the-
here.
that's what the board's duty is to do.
That's what the gut of the study is. How important is that study? Is that incentive to bring that business here that they wouldn't otherwise have come to Yorktown? That's the important element of the study. Granted, every new business has a spill-off and generates other businesses. You can say that for every business in Yorktown. Okay, that there's a connection from one to the other. To Ed's point,
This is the old thing that you keep saying. You've already decided what the study's gonna. That they were gonna come anyway, so we don't need the 45. You've already decided the whole thing.
Let's
it's
get-
over. We
no.
don't even need a board anymore.
I'm thinking about what the 2016 study did, which was just very
Yep, and
feel good language.
Yep. So one of the things I'd like to also have them study is on some of these bigger projects with the 45B is what improvements were made to the infrastructure when they came in, whether it was through the developer and before, like, you know, if you look at Lowe's in particular, they did that whole upper intersection. If you look at BJ's Gas, they did that whole lower intersection. That doesn't affect their tax rate. That doesn't affect what we discount on the new tax.
But if we weren't vigilant when Lowe's came in, we would have been responsible for the infrastructure. But we, as a board,
Yep.
Protected the town and required an infrastructure, you know, an agreement
Right,
for
an IMA,
maintenance.
yep.
So that's all part of it. But you're right. I mean, we could have been on the hook for a lot of money had we not done that.
Yeah,
So we have to.
that's part of the planning board.
Right.
That's part of the planning board's approval. Okay, that when they approved the site plan for Lowe's, they mandated that they had to make those improvements, and the developer paid 100% of the cost. Unlike other developments recently, where the town paid more than half of the cost of improvements. But I don't see how putting in a factor about the cost of how much they have contributed to infrastructure deals with the basic question of, do we need the 485B incentive? And if so, do we want to target it to all of
I
Yorktown?
thought we were supposed to look at cause and effect of the previous, as I'm reading through here. What has the 485B done for us? And that's an important aspect. Whether it matters going down the road or not, but we should know what it brought to the table. And, you know, really, in the bottom line, it's an ROI. It's a return on investment. You know, they're investing the money. It's only when their taxes go up. So from what my understanding, talking to Gary, when they were going to look at a valuation at the Triangle, their renovation might not cause their tax to go up, so it'll be 0 485B. There's no increase. But what it will do is keep their assessment where it is, where that may have changed as he was looking around, because as he reevaluates everyone for their properties. So
Only the commercial gets reevaluated.
Yeah, well,
not the residences.
Right, but that's something that makes a difference. So
At the end of the day, that's where the board is supposed
Let's
to
just
do.
get guidelines. I don't care, put anything
is there
you want
anything
in.
else? Is there anything else on here that anyone would like to see? Sergio, did you want to try to give me something by tomorrow that sort of quantifies what you're saying?
Sure.
And then we'll send this out to the 45B, ask them to get, or the Commercial Incentive Board, ask them to get together, and then start to move forward. Is that good?
No, and to your credit, this is very good. It's a
Excellent.
very good launching pad.
Thank you. The committee, has that committee started to meet yet?
No, they're waiting on this, so we'll
They're
send
waiting on this.
We'll
We
send
have
this
been
out
waiting.
tomorrow.
My notes say that on February 10th, the announcement was made that we were forming a committee and we were having interviews. On April 7th, we appointed 4 members, and there was only one more member that to be appointed. And it's June 2nd.
When did we appoint the last member, since you have all the dates?
We could have started after.
When did we appoint the last member, was the question?
About a month ago.
About a month? Okay, it was less than a month,
Okay,
but
but
okay.
we've been talking about the guidelines for
And
more
then,
than
and
that.
then may I ask
Right.
you, did we say that we were going to put the guidelines on an agenda,
Yeah,
finish
we
it?
talk about it.
All right, so I
We're
don't,
talking about it, thank you.
We misrepresent everything over here.
No, we're
that's
talking
true.
about it,
Move
we're
on, please.
getting it done, thank you.
all right, oh, wow, resolutions. Thank you for the spirited discussion.
Makes for more interesting TV.
There you go.
Okay.
Right, Tom?
Speaking to the mic, Tom. Yeah, I got you. Ready?
All right, resolutions. So the Building and Maintenance Department authorizes the supervisor to sign a change in the scope of work for professional services for the replacement of a ramp and construction of a portico at Town Hall in the revised amount of $9,810.
Can you explain what's being planned?
They're doing a little different design on the portico, and we want to replace this door over here. It's definitely not doing its job from a few points of view.
What door? This one right here?
Yeah, that
This
door.
is for what ramp? This ramp right
The
here?
ramp out here.
So now I know Mel Tansman was very outspoken about the fact that there was not enough turning radius.
We're correct.
We're resolving
Everything
that?
will be ADA compliant.
Perfect. Okay, that's good.
From the engineering department, authorize the controller release erosion control bond in the amount of $500 to SMP Homes. Authorize controller to release erosion control bond in the amount of $500 to Mr. and Mrs. Patrick Lynch. Authorize the controller to release erosion control bond in the amount of $18,025 to Mrs. Kelly Tully. From the legal department, authorize the supervisor to sign agreement with Fifth Asset Inc., DBA Debt Book, for lease management and analysis services in the amount of $7,500.
Can you explain what that's for?
So that is for all of our leases that we have with properties. We have to have a specialized report done for the state that's done through Debt Books. And that is a service. We've been doing this now. This is the second year that it's coming around.
And this is required by the state?
I believe it's state requirement. Adam stepped out to the restroom, so we could ask him when it comes back.
And we have leases for what, for the community center building and,
We have that. We have cell tower leases. We have, I think this might also cover utility leases.
Maybe even the concessionaires agreement. I don't know if that
I'm
comes
not
out.
sure. From the Parks and Recreation Department, authorize bid to be advertised for the paving of the parking lot at Tom Diana Park at Granite Knolls Sports Recreation Complex.
do we have any ballpark number before bids come in? Because remember, this was supposed to
No.
be covered if we had gone ahead and had a solar canopy put on over the parking lot. The company that would have done this, granted, there were problems with the previous bid, all right?
It wasn't the bid, Susan, it was the company.
The previous company that was awarded the
Right.
bid, there were problems. That whole project had to get scratched.
Right. I
But
do not
if we-
know, that's why we're putting it out to bid.
But if we
from
had
the-
gone out with a new proposal with a new bid to put just the canopy over the parking lot, which is something that the Recreation Commission desperately wanted, it would have shielded the parking lot, it would have created a better parking lot, and it would have generated revenue. It had multiple advantages. And now instead of the developer paying for that to do that, we're going to have to use fund balance to pay for that.
The developer in that instance kept moving the goalpost.
I said
And that's
there were
what
problems.
was,
Right.
Well,
We
so
never-
But you're saying the developer was going to pay for
No.
it in the same
Is
breath that
it-
you're saying there were
If
problems.
we had
They
gone
weren't gonna
out
pay
for-
for it.
if-
That was
All
the
right,
problem.
If we had
Susan,
gone out
Susan,
for the bid.
Susan, do you want me to separate it so you
No,
could?
no, go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Want it done.
My- I have a question.
Yeah.
Is it possible to consider doing a
I
the
don't-
same type of issue?
We could discuss it before the bid comes back. I do not think that we have a majority that is interested in the solar panels up there anymore, the solar canopy. The issues that we dealt with with the last company and all of the different moving targets left a bad taste in everyone's mouth.
I would like to have that discussion.
Sure. From the police department, authorize overnight stays for 2 members of the Yorktown Police Department to attend the Bucks County Public Safety Training involving 1 overnight stay in July 14th, 2026 at the Hampton Inn in beautiful downtown Warrington, Pennsylvania. From the town board, authorize the town clerk to advertise a request for proposals for emergency medical service study. Adam, I'd like to talk to you just about getting that RFP finalized.
Sure.
So
later on.
is the resolution to advertise it without seeing what's in the RFP?
We're just going to authorize her to advertise it. We will then, as I said, I will distribute the RFP. We will agree on it, and we will give it to her to advertise at that time. Authorize the town clerk to transmit a home rule request form to deploy.
Could you separate the EMS thing out, please?
Okay, we'll separate the EMS out.
By the way, I would just indicate that Cortland has already agreed on the RFP without knowing what the RFP was, so.
Thank you.
No, they agreed to it.
It's not uncommon.
Yes.
No,
I'll
not
put
at
it-
all.
I'll leave it at that.
All right, separate
I'll separate. Authorize the town clerk to transmit a home rule request form to deploy photo speed violation monitor systems within construction or maintenance work areas in the town of Yorktown to the Home Rule Council of the State Senate and State Assembly. This is for the work zone cameras in honor of Jake Acara. It's being named Jake's Law. There were some changes that needed to go. This needs to be, it's actually going to be picked up at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning to be driven up to Albany.
Actually, we're driving it up tomorrow.
You're driving it up? Oh. You letting Brian off the hook, or you don't want to get here for 7 a.m.? Fair enough.
Yeah, he said 7. I was like,
Yeah,
I don't know who's going to be here.
All right, so that is what that is for. May I have a motion on all but the RFP?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then authorize town clerk to advertise a request for proposals for emergency medical service study.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm going to abstain because I, as a matter of principle, don't like to vote to
Okay.
advertise an RFP without seeing what the RFP is.
All right, we'll
in.
move to old new business. And Susan, you already spent 4 minutes on it earlier, so. if
All
you-
right. I just think that I'd like to give some updates to the town on a variety of issues, which may affect some in different parts of the town. There's been some issue with the HVAC system at the court about, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago when we had like 80-plus degree weather. It was very hot and unhealthy in the courtroom. Some of the conference rooms, I think, and the judges' chambers have window air conditioners, but the courtroom itself is a problem. And apparently, I heard from the supervisor that the bid that was put out for the new HVAC system, he says there are problems with it, and that's going to have to be rebid.
I believe we will. Dan is going to have the conversation tomorrow morning to finish up with me.
So there's just been a delay, and I've been kind of informally told by a third party that if the temperature gets too hot in that room, the judge may just have to cancel court.
All right, and as I said to you,
But Lanny,
Keith-
you've been in that court.
as I said to you, though, Keith Cudriff, who's in charge of maintenance there, came to me about that last week. We authorized him to order 4 of the large stand-up units that will vent into the ceiling, and there will be 2 for the courtroom, 1 for outside, and 1 for the young ladies working in the office to keep them all at a comfortable temperature. And that is,
So the air conditioning
they
broke
should
down
be here. They should
No,
be here
it's
by
at
the end of the
most
week.
inopportune time.
No,
and
it's been
you're
a
handling
it's
it.
been a long
It's
big
been a
problem.
long problem. The system is antiquated, and we've been doing Band-Aids for too
But
many
I
years.
think rather than spend $100,000 more than we need to, we'll rebid and get it through.
Second is an update for the Halleck's Mills Extension District. That's been an issue for
All right. So the DEC was here last week, I believe, on Wednesday. They did flagging with our engineering department. It was very, very favorable, and they were extremely happy about the fact that we're trying to get this done and want to work with us to that regard.
I'm delighted that they were there. I just wish that they had been there a year ago when this Scopa Street wetlands diversion was first
Next,
proposed.
Susan.
I'd also like an update and on the cell tower. I think the due date back is this Thursday for the responses on our moratorium on the cell tower law. So I'd like to give this priority in terms of setting up a public hearing on that. I also would like some updates from whoever supervisor or town engineer on the status of the pump stations, the 5 pump stations. Have any of the additional pump station plans been sent to the Department of Health? Thankfully, we got an extension from the state because we were within days of losing a $5.8 million grant on that. I'd like an update. I'd like to have some comment about what's happening with the staff committee that has been discussing the revisions to the comprehensive plan. I think, Tony, Anthony, you asked about public opinion. I mean, at this point, it's all being done at a staff level, but I think because of the interest in the comprehensive plan, it would be helpful if some member of that committee gave
I will ask them to do so.
just a
Susan, if they
status
have-
report.
if they have something.
You know, in
there.
terms
Yep.
of what's happening. Also, can you give us an update on Underhill Avenue and when those
Sure.
improvements will
So-
be made? And also, the issue with Toll Brothers, there are significant issues with its stormwater plan, with its development on steep slopes, and from the state watershed inspector generals, they are concerned about the Croton Reservoir because anything that happens on that site will affect the Croton Reservoir, which we all know is a key part of New York City's drinking water. They are asking the town to rescind its waiver of the phasing. This is not something that even came to the town board's attention, and I think it's something that we should.
Then how did you know about it, if you don't mind my asking?
Because I read the comments that come out of Albany from the Watershed General's office. I read all of it, and they're very technical comments on problems that they have and on the inadequacies of the existing stormwater plan and their concerns about the phasing. I did not copy off a technical report that explains all of that, but they were very concerned, and I, as a town board member on a major project, was concerned that this issue of a waiver was not taken up at the town board level. It was just done by the town engineer, and I don't know whether you as supervisor were informed about it, but apparently we can rescind it because these people who are looking out for the watershed and for this site in particular, which they have had long-standing problems with it, and I think that we should have a say in it.
Well, I'll see where this information is. I'll ask someone to call up to the WIG tomorrow, maybe, Adam?
I'll send you. I have Diana forwarded the email because it got forwarded to all of us.
It all came in today.
Oh,
You know,
today?
it came
Okay.
in, and I looked at it because this has been a long-standing problem. They have had problems. The Toll Brothers plan is now in the DEP. When the planning board reviewed the plan, they really didn't go into any detail on the stormwater issue, on the phasing issue. They never really dealt with the steep slope issue. I have brought up steep slopes before, and this board just poo-pooed it and said our engineer
No,
is doing a fine job.
actually, our director of planning said it is something they did address. Don't
Well-
say we poo-pooed it.
Another misrepresentation,
Well,
Susan.
then this has serious issues because of erosion, of erosion control, and there are technical issues which I think need to be addressed. And their engineers are addressing
Once
it. I
again,
can't
Susan, if it's
address
something
it.
that just came in today while we were prepping for the
Take a-
meeting.
take a look at it.
I definitely will, Susan. It sounds like fascinating reading.
Oh, it's absolutely fascinating,
So-
okay? But there's a cover letter that just explains the problem, and then you can bypass all the technical stuff because
Well, I'll read some of the technical stuff, and Ken, if you're listening, I know you left, I'll actually sell you my copy because I know how much you love that technical stuff for Ken Belfour. No, so thank you, Susan.
But it's a serious issue.
Right, so back up to the first thing on your list, because that you haven't gotten an answer for?
I'm just waiting for updates on the comp plan, the Underhill,
So comp plan, we'll talk to
and
the
the
committee.
pump station.
Pump station, I can tell you, the Board of Health finally returned the plans on the first one.
Yeah.
I believe that's on
Farm
Farm
Walk.
Walk. So there were a couple of comments. They're working on addressing those. And I thought they were just about ready to submit one of the other pump stations. But they're trying to, because of the delay of the Board of,
you're right, yeah.
in the Board of Health and how long it's taking to get comments back, they want to make sure it goes in as complete as possible. And they're looking at all the things. One of the advantages of having Heather with us is she knows what they look for. But even there, as she said, you could have the Lord write it himself, and they're still going to have some questions and comments on it.
Well, we only have, when we got the extension, it's a 2-year extension, and the construction has to be completed within 2 years. So we have a firm deadline
Well,
at this point.
unless because of the delays by Board of Health, we need to go further. They were quite understanding of the issues that are at hand. Then you asked about Underhill. I'm a little concerned with them doing the milling and paving. I did have them take out the extra curbing that was over here. But the milling and paving, we have a slowdown coming up. So I wanted them to try to plan for the single lane closures as they do that. A little later in the month as the schools slow down and they do their half days and different things, but they are, there is a plan, and we were just going over, because I'm very concerned about the traffic in and out of town on the different rush hours, and we want to make sure that it's good. And there's also, I had them delay, they were going to rip out the siding that needs to be ripped out, and I do not want them to do that without having the ability to go a few feet and have it filled back in. Otherwise, we'll have something in the area of a 2-foot
You're
or
talking in
3-foot
front of
drop.
Town Hall.
I'm talking about all the sides that they need to redo, all of the curbing out on 118, like the new lane. So I want to make sure that we're not in a situation where if someone tries to cut around a car, their car is now stuck on a precipice because there's such a steep hole from where they have to tear out the ground. I know you know the DOT rules, especially on 118. We have to go down quite a bit and do a compression packed and make sure that it's at that level. So I believe it or not, I'm the most eager to get this done because we do get calls on it regularly in my office, but I do not want, I'd rather slow down a little bit so they have that scheduled to be able to backfill right away and not leave it open.
Do you have any kind of estimate in terms of time?
Dan's here.
Daniel, I didn't see you sneak
Dan
in.
snuck in. Come on up.
Dan, did we say the end of the third week to the beginning of the fourth week of June the other day in the meeting?
I think we're talking about 3 weeks out.
Right, third to
Right.
end of third to
And,
fourth.
You know, the bulk of that work will be on 118, and fortunately, 118's got more room to work than Underhill Avenue. So the maintenance control of traffic will be a little easier, than what we had in the early days of the project. Because remember, too, in the early days of the project, Underhill Avenue was narrower.
Right,
So we
a lot,
actually have-
2 lanes narrower down here, right.
Right, so we got more flexibility in maintaining traffic now.
So what are we looking at?
I mean, it should all be happening like in the span of 1 week. There should be a lot of activity, just all about paving and milling. So
And
that should be
filling.
3 weeks out.
So the last question.
The goal is by 4th of July, the paving is all done, and it'll be restriped with temporary striping, and then it'll be completed with permanent striping.
You know how much I love the temporary striping, Dan. I get triggered by the temporary striping, Dan. We've gone, yeah, never.
Yeah, we did.
Dan, did you
We
get
don't wanna talk
did you
about
get a
Gone
chance to
down
look
that
at?
road, no
Yeah.
pun intended.
Did you? And if there was, that was 2/3 of a pun. Pu. Did we look at that stormwater drain and the height level? That was a concern that.
Yeah, it's really not that bad.
It's not that bad?
And
All
it's all got to be milled out. So putting more pavement in is just throwing away money. It's
Okay.
not dangerous.
Okay.
But it's once it's the final pavement, it's not going to look like that.
And the water will be.
Oh, yeah, yeah, of
Okay.
course, yeah.
I know that there was a concern about the flow when I was talking with John about that.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely the
Good.
final paving. will-
Perfect.
Well, that's going to
Exactly.
correct a long-standing problem there too, right?
Exactly what portion of the road is being milled?
Well,
Well, curb to curb on Underhill, portion of Underhill, portion here, and,
Underhill on both sides of 118?
yes. And the shoulders on 118. But DOT spec has, there's gonna be 12 inches of paving. Because the one side used to be, the west side was a shoulder. So now technically it's gonna meet the spec for a lane.
Well,
because
that's what I keep waiting.
Because
to see.
everybody uses it as a turning lane now, but now it'll be
An
a
actual
formal
turning lane.
That's
lane.
what, that's,
with-
that's
and
what I've been waiting.
That's
I think
signalized.
everyone has been waiting to see that, and hopefully this will all be done before there's more occupancy, at that place.
Then there was a concern from the fire advisory board about the turning radius for their fire truck, if they're making
Yeah,
a
we,
right
we,
onto
spo- we spoke to
Underhill.
them. We're still waiting for exact measurements of the truck. I don't think it's going to be as bad as they think it is because there's going to be more room. We have 10-foot lanes right now, so everything is going to change when we have the actual 12-foot lanes. So their concern was making the left onto Underhill, that the stop line was going to be too close. But, we
Left onto Underhill to go that way?
no, proceeding on 118 north and making the left toward the parkway.
Oh, I see.
So they were concerned that the stop bars would interfere with the turning radius on their
They wouldn't
the
be
ladder.
coming from that
Well,
direction.
they wouldn't from Fire Engine Company 1, but if someone's coming from Loxley for a multiple response or from Peekskill, the fastest route is to come down and hook on 118 rather than go all the way through town.
The concern is coming down Underhill and making a left onto 118 to go into town?
No, coming 118,
Uh-huh.
making
Heading
the
out of
right to go up
No, he
towards.
said making a left on Underhill. That's why I'm confused. Making the right, I can
He
understand.
did say left, but it's right.
It's making a right, on 118, making the right to go up to the Taconic. That's what we're all talking about.
That's what you're talking about, Dan?
No, I believe he was talking about, well, we'll clarify it.
Okay.
If you're
I
talking
thought
about
I
making
thought
a
he was
left
talking
on
about
Underhill
coming
from
from the
118
other.
I thought they had. I thought they had.
Come
The,
from our house.
I thought they had the
I've been in
problem.
touch with we'll
Okay.
we'll work it out. I don't think it's
All
a,
right.
a big problem, but like I say, the intersection is going to be bigger.
All right.
Dan, as long as they're here, were you here for the discussion about Toll Brothers and the WAG email that came
no.
in today?
Did you see the email from the
well,
WIG?
I did hear some of it. So,
And
you know,
the waiver and what process led to the granting of the waiver that
no,
Toll
the, wa-
Brothers
the,
wanted?
the waiver is being practical because what you have to do, I mean, there's a 5-acre prohibition, which is a generalized standard, right? But sometimes you have to get access to the site, and the biggest activity during that phase is building all the stormwater basins. So it would be silly to preclude them from not doing all that work. And to me, it made sense. So that's why I issued the waiver. I am the stormwater officer, so this is within my jurisdiction to make those calls. And I felt that was a sensible call to make.
I'd like to see your responses to their lengthy technical memo.
I don't do that. As far as I was concerned, it had already, we had reviewed it. It went to New York City DEP. It's a very rare occurrence when the Inspector General's office weighs in on it. I have no idea why they did. But ironically, the person that authored the document formerly worked for the DEP.
Well, they've been concerned about Toll Brothers since day one, so they have an ongoing concern. About lots of
I mean,
things
it's fair enough to have a concern. I mean, it's from my perspective, we've reviewed it, and we're on top of it too. We're out there doing inspections. We require the applicant to have somebody going out there, because to me, it's a bit of a fallacy that you do one plan, and that works for the duration of the project. That plan is, we're not starting snarky about it, but it's kind of a suggestion. Because you know what? Everything has to change because the topography of the site is constantly dynamic when you're building a site of that magnitude. And if you say, well, that's silt fence, that's what the plan says it's supposed to be, there's going to be times during construction where you're going to say, you know what, things have changed, we should do something a little different here. This needs to be redirected. Maybe you can put the car. There's all kinds of decisions that are made as the process progresses.
Construction.
Right.
Yeah,
So all I'm saying is the plan review is important, but the implementation is even more important, and that's what we're a part of.
Great.
But there also has to be a reason why DEC has this 5-acre standard. This,
No, there is, but there's a reason why they have the waiver as well. That the reviewers can look at the situation, and if their opinion to go beyond 5 acres isn't without merit, that we consider providing some relief.
well, I'm not a technical person, so I can't respond.
Well, thank you, Dan.
But
Thank-
You're on top of it. Thank you, Dan.
And tomorrow, just you and I could go through the cover letter just so I'm a little more in the understanding from the engineer point of view. But I appreciate your input. All right, that it, Susan?
That's it for tonight.
All right.
Okay, I'll think about
Well,
something else
try
next
try
week.
to email me tonight so
Okay.
I could get a
I want you to send me the ice slip information because I did try to look that up on the ice slip website Friday after that meeting because it was mentioned, and I'm always
Yeah,
doing.
why don't you take my copy, my
motion
hard
to
copy?
adjourn.
Yep, motion to adjourn.
and-
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Good night,
Good night,
Yorktown.
Yorktown.
Thank you all.